Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Fins Nation. I'm your host, Louis Sung, and today I'm going to be joined by my good friend Ron Canniff, who is the co-host of the Pulse of Fins Nation. He's going to be here with me today for our first week of Fins Nation. Back from a brief vacation, I had some things going on that I need to take care of. Those things have, as of right now, been taken care of, but thanks to Ron, I was able to get everything sorted out. He was the one who gave me the idea to really take a week off. He was the one who initially pitched it, and then my fiance Holly pushed it over the edge and said, just take the week off. Like, okay, I'll take the week off.
Yeah, man,
So,
it's the time of year to take a week off. That's for sure. I mean, what are we going to talk about?
No, because you know what? This is exactly when we shouldn't be taking a week off, because now everybody's taking a week off. There's no Dolphins content being made whatsoever. So we here are going to be jumping on it and making sure that you all out there have some Dolphins content to listen to so that your hunger is always satiated. So aside from that, how are you, Ron? How's everything been?
I'm fantastic. Fantastic, sir.
So I know
getting ready for the year, getting ready for the season,
ready for the season, and getting ready is definitely something Ron is doing. Sorry, man, I'm going to put you on the spot. Ron has been investing in creating the ultimate recording studio.
Yes.
Like his audio is going to be way better sounding than mine. I may have to just flip our roles. He may have to do the intros and stuff like that, because
hear it right now compared to probably last time you heard me, or if you listen or watch Pulse of Fins Nation, definitely an improvement.
So you guys let us know if maybe you want some Miami Dolphins based ASMR or something along the lines of that.
I don't know what that would be. Like squeaky dolphin sounds?
No. It's like
tackle noises.
And now Tua throws deep to Tyreek Hill, and it's a touchdown.
Yeah, the ball spinning through the air.
Yeah, you can know.
Exactly. There you go.
Alrighty. So we're going to go ahead and talk about some things that happened during the mandatory mini camps. And that includes somebody who did not show up for mandatory mini camp for reasons that we will get into and what we think that is going to ultimately result in. But before we get into all that, just want to go ahead and mention that, as always, this show is brought to you by our friends over at You Brake Wheel Fix. You Brake Wheel Fix is the complete automotive wheel solution. Ever parked too close to the sidewalk curb? You Brake Wheel Fix specializes in the repair of damaged wheels from bends, cracks, and curb rash. Or maybe your wheels are faded or peeling. You don't need to replace them, as You Brake Wheel Fix can refinish them to like new. Offering complete refinish options through powder coating, machining, and polishing, You Brake Wheel Fix is the answer to all of your wheel needs. And if you're just looking to give your ride a new look, You Brake Wheel Fix also offers many car customizing options, such as new custom wheels and tires from your favorite brands. They also offer performance upgrades, window tinting, and suspension modifications. Located just south of Aventura, you can reach Mark and his staff at 305-748-0112 or online at youbrakewheelfix.com. They are really active on all social media platforms at You Brake Wheel Fix, so shoot them a DM on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter and get an estimate in just minutes. So don't delay, go to You Brake Wheel Fix and start customizing your ride to show off your Dolphins fandom today. This show is also brought to you by PrizePicks.com. PrizePicks.com is a revolutionary fantasy platform where you can now pick up to 6 different players across professional sports leagues. Whether that's the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, one of each, it's up to you. Just choose whether your chosen player will get more or less than their projected stat. They give you free squares, special Taco Tuesday discounts, Flex Friday specials where you can get your money back if you lose or multiply the amount of money you can normally win. With offers like that, it's hard to justify not signing up if you're any kind of a fantasy sports fan. So use the promo code 5, that's FIVE, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you sign up. Again, that's promo code 5, FIVE. Go to PrizePicks.com, deposit your $100, and let PrizePicks give you $100 of their dollars for you to play with and get started winning today. All right, Ron, so obviously the big news of minicamp is the fact that we've had some interesting developments going on. So on top of the fact that certain players seem to be doing better than we've been told, we've been hearing reports that Austin Jackson somehow impressed at right tackle. Again, there's no pads or anything like that. He's already making the face for anybody who can't tell.
Yeah. Can you hear my face that I'm making through through the mic?
Like he's not particularly impressed with the idea of Austin Jackson being a mandatory minicamp show off. Also, Liam Eichenberg, we've all made a big deal about the orange jersey. Well, apparently, who is the guy who is playing backup center with Connor Williams not showing up, and that's the guy we're going to be talking about really in just a minute. But apparently, Liam Eichenberg earned the orange jersey, and nobody's made light of that so far. It's not like, oh, the orange jersey, that doesn't mean anything. The orange jersey was supposed to be a symbol that says you were the real show out on the last practice, so you get to choose the playlist for today. So if Mike McDaniel Again, this is where I have to have this whole discussion. Do we trust Mike McDaniel, or do we think he's just goofing around? If we think he's just goofing around, then we can look at Liam Eichenberg and say, okay, you didn't really earn it. They just wanted to listen to country music that day. Now, if we take him seriously, then, oh, Liam Eichenberg must have done something to impress Mike McDaniel, and that's why he has the orange jersey. But with that being said, the only reason that we can see that Liam Eichenberg is playing center to begin with is because Connor Williams is not at camp. And he is liable to be fined if that's the route they decide to go, because he was supposed to be there. It is mandatory minicamp. And Connor Williams decided, nope, I'm not showing up. And he is sending a message to the Miami Dolphins that says, I am not particularly happy with my contract situation at the moment. I don't think it's necessarily how much he's getting paid, because he is still getting paid a fairly decent amount. I'm just pulling up the contract here real quick, because it was last season that Connor Williams signed a deal with the Miami Dolphins. It was a 2-year, $14 million contract. So he's going to be getting paid a decent amount of cash. The only issue is that this is his last year. Next year, he's going to be on a free agent again. So it seems pretty clear that what he wants is, he probably wants a decent raise. Obviously, every player wants a raise. They don't want to just stand pat with what they have. But what he really wants, I think, is he wants a long-term contract. I've been on record since last season, in the middle of the season, saying, listen, he's already proven it to me. Lock this guy up before we end up having issues. And it looks like since the Dolphins did not do that, lo and behold, the issues have arrived.
It's just hard for me to believe that Liam Eichenberg orange jersey isn't just let's walk off minicamp for 6-7 weeks till training camp comes with that symbol to Connor. That's the symbol. It's a symbol to Connor Williams saying, yeah, you need to be here, man. Maybe you're not irreplaceable. No, I think it's bullcrap, and I think they're going to get this figured out. They've had enough problems finding and filling the 5 starting spots along the line. The last thing they need to do is go backwards, -1, when they had to add 2 big free agents last year just to get to 3, right? Can you imagine we remember what the line looked like before Connor Williams and Armstead walked in, right? That was one of the worst offensive lines that the NFL had ever seen. I think it's just a little symbol to Connor Williams. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think he's going to be like, I got to call my agent. Eichenberg got the orange jersey. We got to get this figured out, man. I'm just going to show up. Just tell him I'll play for less money.
No, I sincerely doubt that he's thinking that. But so you're in the camp of the orange jersey doesn't mean anything only for Eichenberg?
Correct. In this case, yeah, I don't think it means anything. I think it was just some kind of, like, did he play bad? And if he had played bad, he's not going to get any kind of orange jersey. Did he play decent? I'm sure he played decent. Was he really the best player of all 90 guys over there? I'd be real surprised.
I mean, we've had people getting the orange. I think we've had people get the orange jersey twice in a row, or at the very least, they've had it. We've had people get during practice.
We've seen Ingold wear it too. I mean, if you go to back to last year, we've seen Ingold wear it more than once. We've seen Van Ginkel wear it more than once. We've seen Tua wear it more than once. I mean, we've seen that orange jersey be worn by people multiple times. So I'm not sitting here saying it's just something that gets passed around to every single player. I'm saying in this case, did he have a good practice? Yeah, he probably had a good practice at center, especially considering they kind of just threw him over there and said, hey, no Connor Williams, we're going to throw you at center. And maybe they were like, damn, he actually isn't bad at center. Let's give him some encouragement. Let's show a little, throw out a little message to Connor Williams at the same time. No big deal. Everybody else is there. Sealer's there. Like, okay, you're having contract issues, but you should be at minicamp, man. We're trying to win the Super Bowl here. We're not playing around. And I think that's part of what the aggravation, I'm sure, of McDaniel is like, look, I understand you're having contract issue, but you need to be at minicamp. Everybody else is here except for the people I said I don't want here because they're going through some injury issues or I just don't want to risk it, like Armstead, like Tyreek Hill, right? Everyone else should be showing up unless they're injured, unless you're Brandon Jones or Nick Needham or something.
Even Nick Needham is there. He's doing work on the side, but he's there.
Yeah, they're there. They're just, yeah, exactly. They're there. But yeah, it's like, come on, man. I think that's I'm sure the center position for that line is crucially important for McDaniel's offense. Crucially important. They are like a middle linebacker. in that spot there. They're calling it all. They're doing a lot. And I'm sure that's very annoying for McDaniel. And when we're trying to win the Super Bowl this year, that he didn't show up. Like Steelers there, and they have the same agent, right? And they both want new deals. And Steelers there, Christian Wilkins, he's trying to get his, like, he's one of the, there was 5 defensive first round tackles, something like that, or first or second round tackles in when was he drafted? 2019, 2020?
I can't remember. I think it was 2019. I think it was 2019,
okay.
but
whatever that year was, and everybody, I believe, has now been signed to an extension except for Wilkins. He's in camp. So I think it's just a little bit of a messaging to Connor Williams that's like, dude, you should be here. It's ridiculous. Like, we'll get this figured out. We got 6-7 weeks to get this figured out. Now, on Connor Williams' end, not showing a mini, being the only guy to hold out, and show to mini camp, is a true symbol to Greer and them. Like, look, you got to get this done. You definitely got to get this done. So I get it. But he should have been there anyway. He could have held in, but I guess they don't do that during minicamp. Now they do that during training camp, I guess, right? They don't hold out anymore. They hold in. So they go there, but they don't actually practice. They tell them, hey, I'm not practicing because I'm quote unquote holding in. So we'll see what happens if they don't give him a new contract come training camp. But man, we're like, what, 6-7 weeks away? Probably like 6 weeks away from training camp, something like that. We're in the dog days of NFL season coming up, man. It's going to be rough.
I mean, the only issue I have with this, like, you know what? If Connor Williams says that he wants a new deal, this is the concern that I have, because we've already seen that Mike McDaniel does not put a whole lot of emphasis and a whole lot of value on the offensive line, at least not nearly as much as we feel like he should. And we've already seen this, and we've lamented this all off season long. We've been talking about, why aren't the Miami Dolphins looking for the best right tackle available? Why aren't they giving up that second rounder to go get Terrence Steele and give him a tender? Why aren't they going to get that Packers kid? Why aren't they going to get this guy? Why aren't they signing that guy? Why aren't they signing Mike McGlinchey to the big contract? Why does he let them go elsewhere? So it's the same argument now. Connor Williams is currently in the building. He is under contract with the Miami Dolphins. He's making it known, I want a new deal. And I don't even think that he's looking for a massive raise that says, make me the highest paid center in the NFL. I don't know if that's what his mindset is, because it's not like centers, like maybe centers it's time to start actually putting some value to these guys, because I would really find it funny if after all this time, it turns out the Dolphins are really, really good at accidentally finding good centers. But then when it comes to guards and tackles, they can't figure it out for the life of them. Because Liam Eichenberg, if he's supposedly doing a good job at center, and again, make of this what you will, but there have been reports that Liam Eichenberg is already a better snapper ahead of time where Connor Williams was at this point last season. So again, snapping the football is a very important thing. And if Eichenberg is doing a better job of it than Connor Williams was at this point of the season,
the dream scenario here would be Eichenberg at center is a truly real thing, and they can move. Let's put aside the contract stuff for now. Eichenberg at center and being a good center is a real thing, and they could move Connor Williams to guard, and that fixes one of the two spots. And especially as crucial as it is interior for this offense for Tua, because a lot of what I think a lot of the times why they don't have the emphasis on right tackle is Tua gets rid of the ball quick. The offense just kind of forces you, like, we're just trying to get rid of the ball quick. It takes longer for the defensive players, obviously, to get the pressure from the ends as it does up the center. So center and guards, extremely important. We've had this one guard spot open now a couple years. Can't seem to solve it. If Eichenberg could actually play center and we move Connor Williams over to guard, which we know he's extremely capable, guard for sure. I mean, man, that gives, now we got 4 or 5, and we just need to see, can Wynn play this tackle spot? Can Lamb play this tackle spot? Can somebody come out of nowhere and play this tackle spot? Or are they going to need to try and trade, like, get there somebody in camp? And
I noticed that the obvious answer to the question is not the one that you brought in your list, is that Austin Jackson plays right tackle.
I didn't even, dude, I'll be honest with you. He's, I promise you, I didn't think of him and purposely skip him. Like, he literally didn't pop into my mind. I mean, that is how how inconsequential to me he is. Like that. I'm so tired of hearing about Austin Jackson. I'm not above saying that he won't end up being that starting right tackle game one. It very well may end up being that way, unfortunately, but it's not how it should be. It's not what's best for the Miami Dolphins. I promise you that. Whether they end up putting him there or not, I would be shocked that they'd put him there and that actually ends up working out. Not shocked that they put him there, but shocked if it actually ended up being a good decision this time. I just don't think it is. I think it's stubbornness and we're spending the money in other places, but mostly I think it's just stubbornness because they're so obsessed with his athleticism. But I don't even see really good athleticism from him. That's the thing. Not from a football standpoint.
I mean, he's been hurt all this time, so he's very much in the same camp as Isaiah Wynn in that regard. The fact that he is always hurt is what saps him of that athleticism. You can't be a super athlete if your foot is not able to function properly, or if your knee or whatever's bothering you, you can't move. So that will sap you of your athleticism in a hurry. Teron Armstead, ask him how his athleticism went after that turf toe. It was a miracle that he was still as good as he actually was. So now the concern here again is that will the Dolphins actually pull the trigger? I'm honestly not sure at this point.
When you say pull the trigger
on extending
whom?
Connor Williams, making sure that they stick around with him because
I think they're not. They're not going to let him slide.
But you know what?
They're not.
I honestly, honest to God, man, like I take more stake in that orange jersey than you do. I feel like I really do at this point that they made the change to remove Matt Applebaum, and they went and got this guy Butch Barry to be the offensive line coach. And I am wondering, and I am concerned that if in their hubris they have decided Butch Barry will fix everything on this offensive line, he will get these guys that we already have in shape. He will turn Liam Eichenberg into the next center of the Miami Dolphins, and we can very easily go cheap next season and let Connor Williams walk as a free agent. And that is my number one concern, that they truly believe. I don't know if they're like the only ones who can't tell, and if this is like some kind of Miami Dolphins blinders that happens regardless of who the coach is, because we've seen it with Philbin, we've seen it with Gase, we've seen it now with Flores, and we have seen it now with Mike McDaniel. The offensive line just gets ignored. And in the case of McDaniel, he basically went out there and said, listen, y'all are more worried about this than we are. We're not worried about the offensive line. And he even said it during his interview with Mike Silver, saying, I did not want to go get offensive linemen. Everybody was concerned, we got to fix the offensive line. We got to fix the offensive line. And Mike McDaniel walks into the office and says, screw the offensive line. You need to get to a weapons, and that will fix everything. And this is, again, where I say, how much do we trust Mike McDaniel's judgment of these things? Because if we look at last season, to some extent, he was justified because you gave Tua weapons and suddenly the offense looks a lot better, even though the offensive line was.
Yeah, but they also went out and got two prime free agents.
Well, Connor Williams, we didn't know was going to be a prime center. We didn't know he was going to be a prime center. We signed him thinking he was going to be a guard.
Yeah, but they paid. I get that, but they went out and signed a premier, so to speak, free agent at the guard position and moved him to center because McDaniel said, I think he's got the gray matter, if you will, and the skill set to play center. But what I just brought up here is, let's look at who's actually on this roster right now at the offensive line position. So going from how the Dolphins have them listed or labeled, we have Lester Cotton is the only one that says guard. So Lester Cotton, who played with us last year, he had a couple halfway decent moments. Then you've got Eichenberg, you got Feeney. People are forgetting about Dan Feeney. He
apparently didn't have a very good stint with the Jets, and that's why they let him walk.
Yeah, well, exactly. But we're sitting here talking about Austin Jackson starting and Liam Eichenberg starting at guard, and we know that was garbage. So we got Liam Eichenberg, Dan Feeney, Robert Hunt, Austin Jackson. Still got Robert Jones. Let's not forget about him. You got Alama Ulave, and that's the guy they signed.
I think he's an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, Connor Williams. And those are all listed as offensive line. And then at tackle, pure tackle, they have Armstead, Jerron Christian, Ryan Hayes, Kendall Lamb, Cedric Ogbuehi, Keon Smith, get him off the team. James Tunstall, not to be confused with Tunzel, and Isaiah Wynn. And they're probably going to keep 9. It's so my question is, do they feel like there's going to be a tackle? If somehow Liam Eichenberg worked at center and you could put Connor Williams at guard, is there anybody on this team that can go and grab this right tackle spot? Maybe Kendall Lamb? Maybe. Um, who else?
That's
Maybe not Austin Jackson. Maybe Isaiah Wynn. Probably not Robert Jones. He's more of a guard. So I mean, Wynn or Lamb maybe are probably the only one that could step up and take this away from Austin Jackson. I mean, I don't know. Were they playing? It was hard for us to get a lot of answers. Were they
I'm
playing
sure they
Austin
were. I
Jackson
know
as the
we're not
starting
that
right
nobody's
tackle in
allowed to
camp or
report on that,
OTAs?
but my
Mini
first
camp?
instinct is yes.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't get that information, except for isn't it amazing too? Another point I want to make that this is to send a signal to Connor Williams. So we can't get a report of crap of who's starting where on this team, right? Because they're not allowed to. But amazingly, somehow we have blow by blow information on Liam Eichenberg starting at center because they want them to report that. And why do they want them to report that? Because they want Connor Williams to see that. Why do they give Liam Eichenberg the orange jersey and tell him, oh, he got it at center? Well, why do we know that? Because you told us that. Why'd you tell us that? Because it's the one position you want out there. Because you wanted that information to get to Connor Williams. So let's be honest.
I mean,
that's all about Connor Williams. Because that's the only position we're even allowed to hear about. Like, come on. I mean, except for the obvious
that
one
is a
where
fair
we
point.
know who it is.
Alrighty. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and call it here. We're going to have to keep a very close eye on this whole Connor Williams thing because I feel like that I don't want to make it seem like it's a really huge deal, but at the same time, it's like based on everything that I've seen so far from Mike McDaniel's regime, he doesn't put a lot of value on that offensive line. I don't think he was screaming at the top of his lungs to Chris Greer, you better get Teron Armstead or I'm going to be unhappy. I don't think even for Connor Williams he was that way. I think that he was just looking. He probably would have jumped at the chance to get somebody like a DeAndre Hopkins if it meant that he didn't have to pay Connor Williams.
But one thing I would just before we wrap up, I want to say I think I said this before a few times over this past few months. Last year, heading into camp, we knew what they had in their mind for the 5 guys left to right: Armstead, Eichenberg, Williams, Hunt, Jackson. They kept those guys at those positions, and we saw that. Like, there was more reporting on it, more they were allowed to say as far as who was starting where in regards to that offensive line. We knew that was from left to right the way it was going to start. And come camp, it went just like that. And come the season starting in week 1, it was just like that. Armstead, Eichenberg, Williams, Hunt, Jackson, until injuries happen, et cetera, and people don't play well, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is not what we're getting so far. We're not, and I'm not hearing him. I'm not hearing McDaniel and even Greer go out there and say, Austin Jackson is definitely our starting right tackle. And there was more talk like that from them last year around this time. Whereas now they're talking about, especially McDaniel's talking about, best guys, position battle, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's less faith in Austin Jackson at right tackle and Liam Eichenberg at left guard now than there was last year based off performance or injury or combination of both. They're going to let them slug it out, in my opinion. And I don't know that they're even going to be completely satisfied with who they have. I wouldn't be surprised if they just decide halfway through camp, I just go get me one of these old savvy veterans and see if we can stick them there. I mean, it was just sad to me that last year you kept plucking dudes off of the couch during the middle of the season, and they would come in and outplay the guys that you had pegged to start from March. From March on, you had those guys pegged to start, and these guys came in from the couch, free agents, guys nobody apparently wanted, but the Miami Dolphins, and they instantly were outplaying them. That's a problem. That's a big problem. I complained about it last year. I'm going to complain about it more this year, but I think the Dolphins are more aware now that maybe these ain't the dudes. Yes, for a lot of mathematical reasons, cap reasons, et cetera, they're still on the team. But I don't think they're either one of them are locked into any kind of starting spot. For me, Austin Jackson absolutely isn't. Question is, who's going to step up on this team that's on the team right now and take it from him? And that's where I'm nervous. I'm nervous that he's just going to win it by default because there's just nobody else to take it. I think Isaiah Wynn is our best shot. And, everybody says sounds like we got a lot of guys that are a lot better at playing left tackle than right tackle, which is good when you have Armstead because he misses games. But what are we going to do at right tackle? Hope that Austin Jackson works out? I have very little faith in that.
Well, we'll just have to keep an eye on it. So, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you being here with us. We're going to keep you guys satiated with your Dolphin needs during this lull. If you haven't already gone to U-Break Wheel Fix, make sure you go to ubreakwheelfix.com and get an estimate in just a few minutes. If you need to get your wheels fixed or if you just need to give your ride an upgrade, just go ahead and give them a call at 305-748-0112, or again, go online to ubreakwheelfix.com or shoot them a DM on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter to get your estimate now. And of course, you can go to prizepicks.com, use the promo code 5, that's FIVE, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you sign up, which means, once again, you put in your $100 and they literally give you $100 of their dollars for you to play with before you even have to touch your initial deposit. So go in and get started winning today. We will see you all tomorrow for another episode of Fins Nation.